to another edition of Lifestyle Solutions.
Here we are.
Here we are again, and we're going to delve straight into our topic today. And our first topic has to do with health, but it also has to do with how to prepare your body to do exercise that your body may not be used to doing. For example, a lot of people that come onto the program, some of them, there are two types of people. Some of them come onto the program and say, you know, I've never done exercise before, so can I just go straight into a gym or straight into home and doing it, or do I need to do something to prepare my body first?
Right, or maybe it's been a very, very, very long time. Because we get a lot of people too, they did some type of athletics or working out back in the day, whenever that day was. But a key thing really, it's changed a little bit as far as warm-up. A key thing is mobility. Now, it's different from flexibility. They get confused a lot, but what I mean by that, flexibility, gymnasts, dancers, people, bendy people who can put their leg over the head, all that kind of thing. Important, but it's not the main thing. Mobility is moving a joint smoothly. The motion isn't that big, but it's really smooth. Like, for example, if I want to just warm up my shoulders, which is a really smart idea, by the way, you roll them a lot. You make them move inside and out a lot of repetitions. It's not particularly difficult, but here's one more. I have some knee issues, bad training, so I try to guide you towards good training. But Monica knows, because I've been complaining about him for years until we had him fixed, and I kept him going through acupuncture for a very long time. But when I go into the gym now, with age has come some wisdom. Boy, do I warm up those knees of mine. So for example, I'll sit down at the leg extension machine, no real weight. It's just maybe one plate only. There's no real resistance. 40 or 50 times, pumping action. Rest a couple minutes to give my joints time to lubricate. Then I'll do it again, 40 or 50 times. After that, I'll go down, then start with knee bends, gradually, little deeper, little deeper, little deeper, rest, do it again. At the end of that, my knees are probably pretty good to go. But what I just described warms up, lubricates, brings the nerves into coordination for any body part that you have. That will initially get you prepared for stronger exercise.
Well, and not only that, but what many of us don't realize, when a trainer or somebody gives you an exercise routine to do, it doesn't mean you need to go straight into that exercise right away. That's where your warm-ups come in, just like you're saying, and that may be a 10 or 15 minute, that may be warming up and getting the blood flowing, and it might be 10 minutes on a treadmill or 10 minutes on a bicycle, or as you were saying, warming up those different parts of the body depending on what it is you're going to work out.
The bike, that's the general warm-up. I was probably jumping ahead a little bit, because initially a good idea just to prepare your body generally, whether that's walk or some kind of mobility, just to get your circulation. You get a little bit of a hormone increase in there too, so your body prepares it. Let's not forget the mind, because sometimes jumping out of bed in the morning or getting in is difficult, but just getting in motion, a little more in motion, mentally you're prepared to go for it too.
Okay, question for you. Now let's switch from, let's say, that beginner exercise person, which warming up is great for everyone, but let's say I go to the gym 5 times a week.
Yes, you do,
I lift heavy, or I think I do, but I want to take it to another level. What is it, how do I safely, here I think I've been doing for many, many, many years exactly what I need to do. All of a sudden I start a new program where I am pushed. How do I do that safely? How do I push my body to another level safely?
Yeah, part of it's step by step. I can't emphasize the safely part enough, because the most discouraging thing a person will ever find, whether you're new or experienced, start in a program and get hurt. Tweak your back, injure your knee, walk around hunching your neck or whatever. Those things are exceedingly demotivated. So you have to take it sometimes step by step or even half step. Now, part of it, you might have to learn a new technique, maybe a lift you don't know very well. Here's another, just a for example. If we have you doing some type of bench press, something for the chest, how far are your hands? Where are your elbows? Find a way. This is a super important distinction, not minimal pain, no pain. It's got to be you have to groove it for your exact body, which means if you saw it in a magazine or saw it in a book, it's not ideal except for the model, except for the person. You've got to personalize everything we do. Otherwise, sooner or later, you'll develop an injury or just become chronically inflamed where things just hurt all the time. That you don't want to do. A lot of what prepares the body for a harder exercise is not even the muscles, it's the connective tissue, which means ligaments and tendons. Nobody ever quits exercising because their muscles hurt. It's not that, because they'll get golfer's elbow or tennis elbow or carpal tunnel, something in the wrist. So you have to take that very gradually so the connective tissue is happy, and if that's happy, you'll be happy.
Now, switching from the pure exercise to a bit of the nutrition, how does the type of nutrition, what I put in my body, help me, aid me in achieving more?
You know, in your sport, people have said more than once, which is bodybuilding, that nutrition is 70%, 80%.
Sometimes even 90%.
Especially now. Who knows what the figures are, but it's awfully danged important. But what's nutrition do? It's fuel, growth, and repair. It's pretty much it, those three things. You need the right, as with our program, step by step, the right amount of fuel so you can go do your exercises properly. Then you need the right kind of nutrition so you can recover, which is repair. If you get those two things right, the fuel propels you to a good workout. The recovery literally helps the body repair. Then guess what? You grow. But growth in this, I can see some people, oh my God, I don't want 20-inch arms, as if for some of us it were actually that easy. But growth in this play, it means creating new muscle tissue, stronger tendons and ligaments, and don't forget your organs. You know, there's that too. There's kind of the internal repair so we can stay alive and have all this good aging long enough that we stay around enough to enjoy it, all the fruits of our labors.
Question I get a lot of times is, should I exercise before or after eating? And I'd love your input on that, but just from what it is I have to do, I wanted to tell all of you first, you know, it really depends on what your purpose is.
Correct.
Because fat burning can happen early in the morning before, let's say, before taking that first meal. If you want to do a bit of fat burning, it's a great way to do what we call fasted cardio. So you can go do your 30 minutes, do your 45 minutes, do your 20 minutes, whatever that may be, before you put anything in your body, and that will burn a certain amount of fat. And then you go ahead and have your breakfast so that you're putting something into your body before, as you're saying. What you can do is do your weights or do that workout, because you need to have something, you need to have fuel in order for those weights to mean anything. Now, if you want to warm your joints up, before exercise is great too. That's when you do a 12 to 15 minute walk, or the bike as we said before, or even going on the treadmill. Now, exercise after a workout, let's say you're not going to do your, you're going to do your exercise first, then you're going to eat. That is extremely important. Why is that important? Because that's what's going to fuel you. That's what's going to allow you to grow and then to recover afterwards. Now, if you're trying to build muscles, it's important to eat several meals, do your workout. If you're trying to burn a little bit of fat, that's when it's better to do it probably on an empty stomach. Do some of your cardio type exercises. Right now, for example, I am prepping for a competition. 4 weeks from tomorrow, I'm heading out to Italy, so very, very excited about that. But what I'm trying to do is maintain the muscle mass that I have while being able to cut and burn. So for me, I will wake up first thing in the morning, I will do my fasted cardio, then I will have a good breakfast before I even touch any weights, because I am trying to keep as much of that muscle as possible. So when I'm lifting weights, I don't want to lose muscle mass, I want to try to gain it. Love to have your input.
A couple comments. What Monica is doing now is very specialist. This is competition. It's not only competition, it's high-level competition, because she'll be representing the United States in an international setting. She's also been at this for a number of years, so it's very, very fine-tuned. But what can we learn from this that applies? Because understand that in our program and your goals, they're yours. Some people, as we all know, it's to lose a few pounds. Everyone wants to be healthier. Some people want to actually take that all the way to a competitive state too. But what we can learn from that, even if you don't want to get down into super lean, super fit, the timing is much more of a big deal than people would think it is. You manipulate that. To review it, if you don't have anything before you do your cardio, you will preferentially burn more fat. Not the best way to gain muscle size, it's the way to burn fat. If you feed yourself properly before and after you work out, the tank's empty. So what are you going to do? The muscles are in a prime position to bring in new nutrients, amino acids in particular, and they'll convert some of that to brand new muscle in there too. So it isn't rocket science, but it sounds like rocket science until you get used to it. But that's the pattern. If you see anybody that's really, really fit, especially if they're older than 20, it's much easier at 20 than it is at 40 and 50 and more than 50. They'll have the timing down. That feeding will be down for their body in just the right way.
Exactly. Let's talk about food a little bit. Yes. And we talked a little bit about exercise, talked a little bit about some of the health benefits, but now let's talk about food slightly differently. And I want to give you guys some tips for success when you're eating out. Those are one of the biggest questions that I have.
Yes.
You know, we want to do the right thing. We want to make sure that we are eating clean or at least semi-clean, but how can we be social? How can we still go out with our friends? How can we have a good time? You know, don't want to say no. You don't have to say no. So, but what people don't realize, and it's important to know, what is safe to eat when I go out to a restaurant? What may seem safe and really isn't at all, and what are some of the things to completely avoid when it is that I'm going out? So, what are some of the safe things in general going to a restaurant? Salmon, chicken, fish, especially things that are grilled with no added butter, no added fatty, thick sauces or so. You know, try to stick to steamed vegetables, to broccoli, to Brussels sprouts. If your meal comes with a baked potato, you know, it's okay to have a baked potato, just cut it in half. Don't sop it with butter and bacon and cheese sour cream and things like that. But it's okay to have a certain amount and then keep the rest. You're laughing. Why are you laughing? Is your mouth watering?
Because it's dinner time as we're recording this.
Okay. Well, that's true too. But you know what? Sometimes if you can get a sweet potato instead of a baked potato, sweet potato is a much better alternative. Now, sometimes we assume...
Those balance hormones, by the way. They're good for testosterone, estrogen, to balance those things. Yam, sweet potatoes.
There you go. A lot of times we assume, okay, I'll go to a restaurant, I'll just order a salad.
Mm-hmm.
What we don't realize is that that salad sometimes has the same or even more carbs and fats than a meal. And why do you think that is? It's not the vegetables, it's the salad dressing. Some of these salad dressings are full of certain ranch and so, I mean, it's amazing what they'll put in there. Experiment. One of the things you should do is go ahead and if you know you're going to a specific restaurant, go online, go to that restaurant. Most all restaurants have the nutritional value of the items on their menu.
You'll be amazed. This little bit of extra time and research, it's good for you. You know, if you learn these things, you'll be able to guide yourself. Because part of what we always want to do with Lifestyle Solutions program, you get to be your own captain. Just learn what to do, gain from our experience and other people's. But to do that, you do need a certain amount of knowledge. But if you learn to read the labels and see what's what, you don't have to read every single item. But if you have basic calorie content, but more importantly, carbs, sugar content, fiber, fat, protein, you'll learn a lot. And you'll probably be extremely surprised until you get used to it. A lot of hidden calories. You'll think you're having 300 calories, then you'll have to put the 3 to an 8 by the time you see everything that's inside.
You know, and don't assume that just because a specific dish in one restaurant has X amount of calories, X amount of carbs, X amount of fat, then that same dish somewhere else will be equal. No, many times they differ incredibly. Things to stay away from for sure are the pastas, the breaded meats and those breaded dishes, those rich sauces, those very cheesy dishes.
Breading, by the way, it's a grease trap as well, so you're getting 2 for 1. You're getting the carb, plus you're getting whatever it's fried in. Now, realistically, of course, it can be said in a different way that the successful program is the one you stick with. Because you can have the perfect, ideal program, and we'll talk a lot about here's ideal, there's real world. They're not always the same thing at all, unless you're a professional athlete where everything is paid for and you have a chef and all these things. So, yeah, breading, no, beware that, because that one, it'll be fried in a better or a much worse oil, depending on what you get.
Right.
And plus the carb content on top of that. The trick then is to find, of course, the flavorful foods, which there can be, except just with minimal bad stuff.
When it comes to drinks, you know what? If you can, stick to water, especially if you are going non-alcoholic. I mean, you can always have a diet drink, but that has other health issues. It's not the carbs there, it's not the sugar, because obviously a diet drink won't have that. But I always say, you know, water, lemon, that's great. Unsweetened iced tea, be careful, but should be all right as well. Now, if you're going to have, if you're out with the ladies or the gents and you're having a nice social alcoholic evening, definitely a glass of red wine is better than a glass of white wine. Stay away from the beers. Believe it or not, spirits don't have carbs as such. So having a gin and tonic is okay, but where you mess up is in the mixers. So a screwdriver, orange juice, and vodka, not so good. But if you want a rum and Diet Coke, that's something that you could have. Now, there is a caveat there, because while they don't have carbs, the problem with alcohol in general is that it inhibits your fat burning of your metabolism. So
reduces testosterone too, at least temporarily. And if you're a younger person, okay, maybe there's a lot of extra to go around, but later on, I mean, that is the price. If you want to age really well, then you have to find out how to run your own metabolism. But I always want these things, because sometimes when we talk in this way, people are thinking deprivation. But what I counter with that every time, and I've lived all of this too with so many people, is that wait till you see the results. Wait till you see the results and feel the results. Then things become a whole lot easier.
So having said that, hey, summer's around the corner. Everybody wants to go out and have their margarita, have this, have that. Like we all say, everything in moderation. But it's about you knowing what you need to do so that you can make those choices and you can decide, where am I going to put, you know, my carbs? Where am I going to put my sugar? What am I going to have and what am I not going to have? So some examples. I love Mexican food. So if you're going to a Mexican restaurant, you know fajitas are chicken or steak fajitas are a good, healthy option within the Mexican food. You know, stay away from the flour, the burritos, the chimichangas, the quesadillas, you know, all those things that are breaded. Your salad, your bowls, your chili, it would be fine. Obviously, try, you know, a little bit of rice and beans, okay, but stay away from some of that. And if you're going to have tortillas, your corn tortillas are your much better option than not. And with the salsa and queso, well, stay away from the queso because it's just all processed. But the salsa and chips, use that chip as your spoon and have the salsa, because that's just tomatoes and onions and spices and okay, but don't have too many of those chips. Your favorite is Mediterranean food, so tell me a little bit about what you can have at a Mediterranean food place.
Usually it's the meats. If you find them well prepared, they're not very greasy, very minimal breading in a lot of these things too. But it's something that, very briefly, Monica and I, for example, have very different metabolism. I was the fat kid, never met a carbohydrate I didn't like. A couple people, my mother and my sister, have the same thing, not my father. But what I'm getting at with that, I would weigh myself endlessly and measure things constantly while I was learning to see what would work. But I found if I have lean Mediterranean, pretty big plate of that, if it's not too salty or anything, I'm just fine, absolutely fine. But if it's lesser, if it's poorly prepared, which you've had too, it's much greasier, the day, maybe 2 days later, I'll pay for that. I will have a virtually instant softening around the abs in this way. So the Mediterranean food, some of the meat dishes over there, if they're not particularly heavily breaded, really, really good stuff, and not so much spice that you start to retain a bunch of water either.
So Chinese food, that's tough because of all the salt and some of the other additives, you know, but boiled white rice, meats, you know, sushi is a great one because that is rice and fish. So that's something you can have. When it comes to an Italian restaurant, you know, salmon, meatballs, chicken, you know, the marinara is okay. It's the pastas that'll get to you, so definitely no pasta. See if you can do some sort of zucchini pasta or something that is not, you know, actual pasta. Now with fast foods, does this mean that, how about taking your children, your grandchildren over to McDonald's or to Wendy's or to Chick-fil-A or some of those? Does it mean you can't eat anything at a fast food restaurant? Well, you know what, first of all, let me tell you, I think we all love fast food, or some of us have in the past, but fast food is extremely addictive. And you become especially children, become extremely addictive to the taste of fast food.
A lot of it has added sugar too, more than you think.
Well, that's the thing, and they do even more. So you don't want your kids to get their taste buds used to it. So I would say, don't take your kids or grandchildren or anyone more than once a week as a special treat to go get that fast food restaurant. If you're doing it, Subway, for example, I mean, I would it's hard to stay away from the breads, but some of their tuna sandwiches, that's a healthier option, I would say. At some of the burger places, if you're going to eat it, don't have the bun. Try not to get, your Big Macs that are full of all the sauces and things like that. At not so fast food burger places, you can do the sweet potato fries instead of regular fries. Pei Wei is actually a great one because you can get their steamed broccoli, your white rice, and actually chicken that they will make for you on the side. Their lettuce chicken wraps are fantastic too, and I'll eat those even well into a certain amount of contest prep.
It's a lightly spiced, diced chicken, but pretty dang lean and pretty good.
Definitely, definitely. So anyway, those were a couple of things about, fast food places, and if you guys have, feel free to email, message, whatever, with any questions about any specific restaurants or places you may have. I do have a couple of questions that some of our Lifestyle Solutions clients have had. One of those, can I drink coffee during the cleansing and detox phase of the program?
Yeah, actually you can. I answer that two ways because one, this isn't supposed to be so onerous that you don't want to stick with it. And coffee, the vote, there's some good stuff comes out of that. Looks, I've read various things. It's kind of, if you're older, coffee's good, coffee's bad, coffee's good, coffee's bad. But the latest seems to be coming down to the bit of coffee's actually good for you, actually. And granted, some people, they need to wake up in the morning. I do not recommend it all the way throughout the day because that can create other problems, namely sleep. And you can get kind of an energy crash and up and then down, similar in a way to what sugar will do. There's some evidence too much caffeine can also take calcium out of the bones, so just don't be stupid with it. But if you have a nice cup of coffee, and we have to take it in a totality. Some people like to relax afterwards, just as a really nice social thing. It'll aggravate them so much afterwards to not have it, it becomes a cost benefit, kind of. So a bit of coffee's okay.
Definitely. And hey, we are live, and I see Carla Graves, cousin Carla, is on there. So hi, Carla. Nice to have you here with us. Second question I do have: IBS and other intestinal syndromes that can affect the cleanse. How do you adapt to that? I mean, we have had a couple of clients who have had even very bad IBS and have gone on to the colon cleanse, which is supposedly something very, very good for you, but it has dilated, so to speak, their stomachs. Why?
It just bloated them out. I mean, there can be people who go through the cleanse and everyone almost always feels a little bit more full for a while. And IBS is irritable bowel syndrome, and that can be going to the bathroom too much, or not going at all, or alternations. It's all kind of classified as irritable bowel syndrome. But with the colon cleanse and so on, it's a lot of fiber. It's designed to kind of scrape and scrub. That's the point of it. And then enable you to do some new things dietarily. But it's one of those, you have to use some judgment on all these things. Fiber, good. A bit of bloat, great. But if it's, good Lord, starting to get really distended and feel terrible, then in your case, you probably don't have the right enzymes, or your intestines are more sluggish towards a constipation side, and it'd be very uncomfortable. Not dangerous, but very uncomfortable. So cut it in half. Try that first. Just get through the acute part of it, and then just take the colon cleanse by half and see if that works for you. And of course, if you're like a really extreme case, just don't, because it can go on. Rarely, but we have had a couple of people who are just very, very touchy. So we have to adapt these things. This is the template. It's the template, which means we make adjustments according to a pattern. Exactly. But it's not to be just rigidly followed. We have to have your input.
One other client of ours asked the question, and I thought this was a great question because she is about to start her third month of the program.
Excellent, yeah.
And she said, hey Monica, is it okay to stick to month 2's exercise program because I feel I'm a little bit behind. I feel I'd like to hold off instead of going on to month 3 for the routine. Well, number one, of course, it is so important that the number one thing over here is that form, technique, and how you feel about what you're doing is right. That's the most important thing anywhere. You know, that you're doing the way these exercises are, each one is going to build on the other. There'll be a little bit more. You will have been expected, obviously, to feel really good about where you are and continue on. There are people that will do the same exercise routine for an entire year. Is that good? Well, I'd say not really, just because number one, you get super bored. I don't think I could do that myself. But number two, it's because our body adapts. Our body every so often will adapt to what we've done, because our body's incredibly smart and adaptable to what we put in front of it, so to speak. So once our body has adapted, it's always time to change it up so that we can continue to grow. Now, if we feel our body is not adapted yet, that's why usually you'll do a routine for anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks before changing that up. So by all means, you know, you're gonna have all the program, and whether it takes 12 months or 13 months or 14 months, it absolutely doesn't matter. It'll all be there for you. Anything to
comment on that?
Yeah.
If you stay with the same routine for a long time, there are differences, but it's probably better to maintain something. If you're trying for brand new growth and all of that, you have to tweak it now and then to surprise and shock. But here, what's coming through my mind now, I'll work with my clinic, a lot of traveling people who go on business trips. They're limited in time. Maybe they'll take exercise cables with them. A few will lift a suitcase. Some will do dips with the chair. That depends on different creativity. They don't have that much opportunity to really mix things up. But they'll get better for them if they have a fairly brief but very stable routine. They'll just do it again and again and again and again. And you can still make gains at it, but probably not maximum gains. You've got to come into some other things. It goes back to the same thing. The program you stick to well, with heart and diligence, that's the one that'll get you there.
Before moving on, I see you're wearing, big shout out I wanted to give. I see you're wearing your Aging Evolution shirt there. And I want to remind all of you guys out there, especially if you are over the age of 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 70, and even above, go on to the Aging Evolution Facebook page, Aging Evolution Instagram, and even the Aging Evolution website. There's some fantastic information there for you, having to do with nutrition, having to do with workout plan, with exercises, with what is Aging Evolution. It is a community that is building all over the nation and soon to be all over the world as well, of like-minded individuals who are over that age of 35, 40, 50, 60, and some amateurs, some professional.
Good shape, inspiringly good shape.
Very much so, and the belief is, you know what, age is just a number and it's never too late to be great. So I really encourage you to go out there, check them out, and look at it.
Yeah.
And I do want to leave you with one thing before we finish. This past week, I was part of a 4-day instructor firewalking training. I have a lot of different hats, so when I'm not doing this, I'm walking on hot coals and breaking arrows with my throat and walking on glass and all sorts of different things. And there is a purpose to all that. But one of the key things that came out from this training is that how you do this is how you do everything in life, whether that be your career, your education, work, relationships, family, service, health, yes, that's exercise, and eating habits as well. So, you know, your discipline actually will carry you through all aspects of your life. So if you're being lazy in your health, take a moment to think about what else in your life might you be lazy and not taking care of as well. Remember, as I said, the way you do this or how you do this is how you do every single thing in your life. So with that, I'm Monica Steiner.
Dr. Greg Steiner.
We leave you this time, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks' time.
More success.
Take care.